It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spin with me, Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. Thank you for joining me with another episode on Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Ed Meyer. Ed Meyer is the owner of Tri-State Office Furniture, and I'm just so delighted to have him here today and to also have Angela here because it's Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. Is June. So we really wanted to talk about this subject. When I talked to Ed and I talked to Angela, we are big advocates. We've been affected by Alzheimer's with me and my grandmother. So I really wanted to talk about what's going on with it. Like, let's find out. Like, is there anything that, I haven't heard anything because I haven't been in the whole world of it. So Angela, please introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers.
Sure. I'm Angela Gillot. I am Director of Commercial Services at Pyatt Sotheby's International Realty. I also work with Pyatt Companies on the commercial real estate side, and I joined the Alzheimer's executive leadership team, and because I've been touched by it, and we can get into more of it in a little bit, but I'm very passionate about it, and I'm glad to be part of your podcast. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Ed, thank you for being here. Thank you for
Sure.
supporting Alzheimer's Month for June. I appreciate it. I've had Ed on my show a few times. He is such a supporter of me, and I'm a supporter of him. Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. I appreciate that. And my name is Ed Meyer. I'm the owner of Tri-State Office Furniture in the family of companies. I'm so blessed to be here. First of all, with these two powerful women, and just started getting involved with Alzheimer's because we have. A family member has been affected, but just listening and watching Angela, it's just impressed, and so I really want to, be a part of it all. So,
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. So, Angela, tell us, why did you get involved in Alzheimer's? How many years ago was this?
Only 3 years ago.
Okay.
My father suffered from frontal temporal dementia, and he went very quickly. And fast forward, that was 5.5 years ago. Fast forward now, I had a meeting with a colleague in commercial real estate, and we were just talking about deals and families, and we identified that we both had family members that had dealt with Alzheimer's, and she said, I have a team for the Alzheimer's fundraising walk, you should join my team. So that was 2 years ago. I did that, and the information and the circle of support of people that attended that walk was absolutely life-changing for me, and I knew I had to be a part of the cure, a part of the treatment plan, a part of helping to find a remedy for this. So I was asked to join the executive leadership team, and this past year I was asked to be the executive event chair for the walk in October, and just having access to the resources makes me even more passionate about getting the information out to other families who are suffering, whether you're a caregiver, you're a family member, whether you're the patient. There's so many resources there that people don't know. So I want to be a part of getting the word out.
It's so true. Now, off air, Ed, I was telling Angela that my grandmother had Alzheimer's. Now, this is when I was back in middle school. And actually, Stacy Smith from KDKA, if anybody remembers him,
Yes, absolutely.
he actually came to my grandma's house to talk to my mother, because my mother was going through nursing school, so she stayed and she took care of my grandmother. And it was like watching for 5 years, her just, just not even know her name. It was just so hard to watch that. And that was back then. So I feel like I'm going to be learning so much from both of you today, because I've been so removed from it, with my grandmother. But so tell me a little bit about when you first noticed with your dad that he was had Alzheimer's, like that's the one thing that I think, as people that are listening out there, how do you know the signs?
Right. And it can be different for different people in different stages. There are 4 different types of dementia. Alzheimer's is one of them. There's Lewy body, there's frontal temporal dementia, which is what my father passed from, and there is vascular dementia. And they all have slightly different side effects at different stages, but what is important for listeners to know is that the mental decline is exacerbated by brain plaque. And there's a term for it, and I'm not going to get it right, so I'm not even going to try, but it starts decades before you actually start to see signs.
Oh.
So once you're starting to see the signs, there's still many things you can do for brain health, but when it gets to a point where you're really starting to notice, for our father, he lived in another state. My sister's in Florida, I'm in Pennsylvania. So we just started comparing notes. For him, he started losing his words. He was pausing more, couldn't find the right words.
Right.
Then someone who was very, very socially active and very much a storyteller, was becoming more of a recluse. He wasn't talking as much. He wasn't going out and socializing as much. So we started comparing notes. We're like, something isn't right.
Right.
So we finally talked him into going to see his primary care physician. She got him an appointment with a neurologist, and they did some testing and identified that he had the brain plaque after they did some scans. Unfortunately for him, he waited too long. He didn't want to know. I think he knew something was wrong, and
That's
he didn't.
what I was going to say. Did he recognize the signs?
I'm sure he did, but he
Right.
wouldn't acknowledge it. So we ended up getting him into a memory care facility where he could be cared for, and it was a wonderful experience. It was just it was good, but too late. So towards the end, he started losing his abilities to feed himself and swallow and things like that. But he still had his mental capacity. He just couldn't articulate, which was really unfortunate. So that was my experience with him. Now, my maternal grandfather, passed from Alzheimer's, but he had a different kind. And back then, I don't know that we knew there were different kinds. So he could remember the tractor that his neighbor across the road bought, but he couldn't tell you what he had for breakfast.
I
Like
did hear
50, he
about
could
that.
remember 50 years ago,
Sure.
but he couldn't
But you
remember what he had.
yesterday.
Yes,
Yes.
correct. So there's different effects depending
Right.
on which one you have, which part of the brain the plaque is settling in.
Right.
So that's all been a huge learning experience getting involved with this
Sure.
organization.
I mean, this is incredible. I mean, just the statistics. I can't wait to hear all this. But I've also noticed, and I don't know if you have, do you feel that more women are
Yes.
getting dementia and
Yes.
Alzheimer's than men?
Yes,
Okay.
and it has to do with our estrogen.
I knew you were going to say that. I
It
knew
does. It has to do with estrogen levels, and when those dissipate going into perimenopause, menopause, and that has some effect on how your brain functions. And I don't pretend to be a medical expert.
Right.
I don't want to say something that isn't accurate, but there are researchers out there who are the experts, and that's something that they have identified, and I think it's almost 2 to 1. Women to
Wow,
men.
2 to 1.
Yeah.
I thought that was,
Yeah.
the case, that more
Yeah.
women were prone to getting it. And it's
Right.
because of the lack of estrogen. I've
Right.
also heard that
Right.
too. Yes.
Right.
And it's just, to me, I feel like if we need to educate each other.
Yes.
Because, I mean, what are statistics? Like, how many people out of, like...
Just in Pennsylvania, there's over 470,000 caregivers. There's 7 million Americans that are suffering in different stages of it. There's, I'm reading here because I don't want to get the numbers wrong. There's 831 million people who are taking care of sufferers that aren't being covered for healthcare costs. So, for instance, this is not just a personal effect, a health event.
Right.
This affects the caregivers, the family members. It affects the workplace because many of these people are trying to juggle working, trying to juggle a caregiver, maybe getting coverage for medical insurance, which a lot of it isn't covered, 100%. So these employees are trying to juggle, okay, you have her from 6 to 8, I'll take her from 8 to 10, just to make sure that that person has always got care, whether they're in a facility or whether they're living at home, which they're more comfortable in.
Right.
So there's a lot of positive research out there. There are treatments that are being uncovered, that are being discovered, that are being approved, which is why this group is so important. They're huge advocates for our legislatures to get coverage for medical care at the state level, at the federal level, to help with this research, to get the early detection blood tests, which is huge. There was a U.S. Pointer study that showed that there are 10 points of brain health that you can do that's good for your body, good for your heart.
Sure. Right.
But there are specific things that are good for your brain to help avoid the onset earlier than later if you're going to have it. But you can get there's a blood marker test that we're trying in the legislature to get approved now by medical coverage so that you can get tested to see if you have the marker. Okay. And there are things that you can do, and there are treatments that you can have to push that away.
What age would you say, though, Angela, that you should go for the blood work? Like,
well, hopefully it will be approved to be covered by insurance soon. But I think first up are individuals who have a history of family sufferers. And those are the first ones that should be tested. If you have that lineage, you should go get tested, and then you'll know what you can do.
So you and I should get tested because my grandmother had it, and then my father. Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
All right. And there's not that's my biggest thing is you just don't know when to get tested.
Correct.
And I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm usually like last to go to the doctor because I'm taking care of everybody else.
Correct.
I'm making sure everybody else is getting, getting their things and taken care of.
Right.
It's just, Ed, tell us why you're such a big advocate for this and why you and your wife want to be a part of this.
Well, first of all, I'm an advocate for anything dealing with the brain, depression, anxiety. I think it's important for people to, self-diagnose if you can, but also if something's wrong, make sure that you get to a doctor sooner than later. And I know that this is affecting people at a younger age. I also know that what Angela says is there's a lot of, they've come a long way. And the research has been great. We've had a member that was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, and the diagnosis of that is similar to Parkinson's disease. So they really can't, for what I know, they can't determine one or the other. There's a lot of testing where they can get down to a certain a point. He had pretty much felt like something was wrong with him, even though he was suffering, cognitive and issues over the past and depression and anxiety. He had told his wife that there's definitely something else wrong, and he knew that. And as a man, and I say anybody that's working hard, they don't have time or taking care of someone, you just put yourself on the side. I was always that way, raised that way, that, I'm last. And, because everything else was more important to me. But yes, and then, he had gone to one of the hospitals, and I'm not going to mention, that just, they did an MRI and just basically told him, you're on your way, we're good, it's your age.
See, that's like almost like dismissed.
Right.
Yeah, it's your age, everything's your age, your age.
It was definitely dismissed, like 100%. There was no really extra talking or extra measures. And he had then, through a friend, was able to get an appointment at the other hospital relatively quickly. And they did more than just MRIs. They did, that's called a DAT scan, a DAT scan, that can go further down than the MRI. And that's where they found the dopamine, his dopamine levels were below where they need to be. And you can't build dopamine back up. It just doesn't happen. They have no cure for it as well. I know they're working on it, but So yes, and similar to what Angela has mentioned, her father and other people go through, loss of speech, not lost, but it becomes harder to talk,
Right.
And your brain doesn't function as well to tell everything else in your body what to do. So yeah, and speaking with Angela, I felt like my wife and I needed to get involved.
Yes.
So it was important.
Thank you so much. I know. And, when I first met you, I saw you at the Women's Expo, and I was like, yes, we have to talk about this,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's something that, and you have to be your own advocate for your own
Yes.
body.
Right.
Because nobody's going to
Yes.
tell you, like, hey, Jen, you've been
Right.
acting kind of different.
Right.
You have to be like, wait a second, something's up.
Right.
And I think sometimes with women, like you said, with our hormones, we get the brain fog. So now, you're running into that unless you're I have estrogen. Actually, I'm taking the patch. So I do feel that my brain fog has not gone completely.
Dissipated a
but it
little.
dissipated, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, significantly,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do feel better with that. And I'm just speaking on my own experience with it. So far I feel better because you don't know. You don't know if you're just, you're getting old, you're losing your memory,
Right.
you're getting old. No, it's not about that anymore. And we have to fight for these things
That's
to
right.
be tested.
Yeah,
So tell us a
absolutely.
little bit more, Angela, about what are the new advancements, the things that you've been seeing.
So luckily, in Pennsylvania, we have a very strong advocacy program. We had a team of 100 members across Pennsylvania who all met in Harrisburg about 2 or 3 weeks ago to advocate for getting care coverage, getting testing coverage, so that the insurance companies have to cover it. So we're still waiting for all the final outcomes from that. But the statistics show that this is not an aging disease.
Right.
It just so happens that because it takes decades for this buildup to happen, you don't maybe likely see the effects
right.
until later in life. It's
Okay.
really based on lifestyle. It's not necessarily hereditary. It's based on lifestyle. It's based on health.
Okay.
But it's based on the brain plaque and lack of circulation. And there are things that you can absolutely do to prevent or delay the onset if you've already got some symptoms showing.
Really?
And there's medication that is showing very, very promising results for people who have been on this medication for a while, and they're still, I know an individual, her mother has been taking this for 10 years, and she's still living alone, and she's still functioning, and so there's
Wow.
very, very promising. And I don't know the names of the medication, and I would probably mess it up anyway.
Yeah.
So I would direct you to the website, alz.org for sure. But there is just so much advocacy going on. There's so much promising research, and I will tell you that our Alzheimer's Association of Greater Pennsylvania, which includes Pittsburgh, Erie, Harrisburg, Lehigh Valley, Philadelphia, all of the major walks in Pennsylvania, we are the one in Pittsburgh. The research lab in Pittsburgh is the largest funded Alzheimer's research in the country.
That's amazing.
In the country.
That is amazing.
So that's why it's absolutely critical that we get so many people involved in our walk in October. It's our largest fundraiser. This year we are on the road to 1 million. So last year our goal was 800,000, and we almost got to 900,000 by the
No
end of the year. So
way.
this year is going to be 1 million, no problem.
That's
So
good.
we're working really hard for sponsors, for donors, for people to come out and walk. But it's as much about giving money for research, because we're seeing the fruits of that research.
Sure.
Right.
And the treatments that are coming out of that. But it's also to bring people out for awareness and to understand you may not have it, you may not have the lineage of it, but you might know somebody who's suffering. You might know a family member who's a caregiver, and they're at a loss. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn, which is what happened for me, and it might have happened with your family member. You don't know where to turn. When you
Right,
get
that's
that
the hardest
diagnosis,
thing.
I don't even know where to start. And this was 5.5 years ago. And I've always said, since I've been on the executive leadership team, I wish I would have had knowledge of these
Oh, yes, for
resources
sure, yeah.
back then, because I would have handled our father's treatment a little bit differently. I would have been much more involved. I wouldn't have been as passive with his care. I would have been more of an advocate and more direct with his medical providers to say, no, this is not the way he behaves. This is not normal.
Right.
It's not just aging. There's something else going on, like you alluded
Right.
to.
Right.
Having family members come together and say, something isn't right.
Right. And you would think, and that's the hardest thing too is, when you go to your doctor, you want to be tested
Right.
for these kind of things.
Right.
And it's almost
Right.
like you have to ask for
Yes,
it.
Right.
And
correct.
your dad wasn't aware of it.
No,
And
no.
there's probably people listening that didn't know that you can
That's
get
correct.
testing for. You said there's blood work.
That is
could
correct.
show.
That is correct. There is a blood marker test that you can get. I think it's still in the Pennsylvania legislature to get approved in Pennsylvania. But I know nationally as well, they're trying to get that approved through the insurance companies that you can get this blood marker test, and then you'll know for sure, what your next step should
Or
be.
at least get a gauge or a mark where
Right.
you're like, okay, this is where my brain health, and when you say brain plaque,
Mm-hmm.
like this is where my levels are right now. Maybe 5 years later, take the test again. Like
Right.
just keep yourself so that
Right.
you know, and especially if you do have a history of it in your family.
Right.
And I didn't know dementia and Alzheimer's, they're two different things.
Well, dementia is the umbrella. of mental, not mental, I shouldn't say that, cognitive decline. And then there's four different variations from that. There's the Alzheimer's, there's frontal temporal dementia, there's Lewy body, and vascular dementia. And they, like I said before, they all have slightly different side effects, and they might affect you differently at different stages. But they all essentially boil down to affecting your motor skills, your mental capacity.
Vascular, explain a little bit about that, because I have never heard that.
May have to read about it because
Please do.
let's see. You can. It involves forgetfulness. It involves hallucinations, which is a little bit different than maybe it. Essentially, they all
Have the
revolve
same
around
kind of-
blood flow.
yes,
The
blood flow.
restriction of blood flow, which oxygen is critical for our bodies to function properly, especially our hearts and our minds.
That's so true. So is like, for instance, if your dad would have taken the medicine, do you think that would have helped delay it? Because it's not going to cure it, right? If you're already in the onsets.
Right. It depends on how advanced your
stage?
plaque
Right.
is, and once the brain has been shut down from oxygen, it just starts to. I mean, think of plaque on your teeth, or maybe if you have a dog,
Right.
and the plaque on the. I mean, it hardens, and there's no getting that back. So you just have to prevent any further damage. So in his case, by the time we realized what was going on and we got him tested, it might have helped, but it would not have reversed it by any means. But it might have delayed his
Slowed it down, too, yeah.
slowed it down for sure.
That's
for
what I
sure.
was thinking about that too, because you don't know, and I actually didn't even know there was medication, because when my grandmother had it, I don't think they had anything. I think they were still like, what is this? They were trying to figure it out themselves, because for us to, I didn't think anything of it. I was in middle school. I didn't know
Right.
too
Sure.
much
Right.
about it, and now that we're talking about, and I'm hearing from you both, it's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
We have a little bit more advancement,
Right.
because we're starting to talk about it. We're getting awareness out there.
Right.
Right.
People,
Right.
and to know the stages that
Right.
you have in life.
And to think about it not as an aging disease, but think about it earlier. Like when you start to notice, or you hear people talking about it as a senior citizen, start thinking about yourself, because knowing that plaque takes
Right.
decades to build up and to start to show the signs of the shutdown, start thinking about it in your 40s and maybe even your 30s. I mean, there are younger people who have been diagnosed with early onset. So, but there are things they can do now, and it's not an aging disease. And in fact, I even have that on my walk page that I didn't realize you could pass from Alzheimer's, from a variation of Alzheimer's or dementia.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was just like a memory thing. 'Cause
No.
My grandmother, my dad's mom, they said she had dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, okay, tell me what the difference is, because I wasn't sure that it was under the umbrella. I am learning so much from you, Angela. I appreciate you even giving me all this information, because it's like, this is something that we need to start talking
Yes,
about more.
absolutely.
And with Pennsylvania, with you being here and it being such a big hub for it, is incredible.
Yes.
We're making strides
We're-
just right here in Pennsylvania.
We are very blessed to have the technology and the research and the talent that we have here in the Pittsburgh area. In fact, our walk, our biggest fundraiser walk, is in October 17th on a Saturday morning, and it is in the shadow. It's at Shenley Park. It's in the shadow of where this research is being done on the Pitt campus.
Oh, wow.
So-
it's being done at the Pitt
Yes,
campus.
yes, correct.
Wow,
Correct.
we are very fortunate with
Yes.
that, because I feel like we do a lot of research. Our health, don't you feel like, Ed, our hospitals here, our health care here, I feel like
We're
we
very
are
blessed.
We are very blessed. We have a lot of great hospitals.
Yes.
a lot of
We
great
definitely do.
health
Cancer
care.
research, I mean, it's
Yes.
amazing.
I mean, any type of, like, you know, when I talk about other things that are going on, and you know, with colorectal cancer and this
Right.
and that, we have such advancements that we're trying, like, just right here
Right.
in our hometown.
Yeah, we have
Absolutely.
great
We're
facility,
so
great
fortunate,
doctors. Yeah.
right? We really
Oh,
are.
oh,
Think
definitely.
about
Yeah.
it. So this walk, is this so anybody can just?
Anybody can register. I have a team. Ed has a team.
Yeah.
You can look up on the website. You can go to alz.org. You can look up your area. It will bring up the Greater Pennsylvania chapter. You'll see our walk is on the 17th. You can sign up on either one of our teams. You can sign up on anybody's
Right.
team. You can sign up as an individual
Right.
and walk. It will give you exposure to a lot of the research. A lot of the researchers will be on site that day.
Wow.
There will be a lot of medical providers that will be there to give you information on maybe you have a loved one that needs to go to memory care, caregivers that maybe you want to have come to your home. All of those resources will be there. It's just a wonderful event to be surrounded by people who are likely have already experienced
Right.
what you may be experiencing or about to.
Exactly. And we were talking about this, Ed, actually, before, Ed, you came in. So Angela's scarf, if you're listening to this and not watching on
Yeah.
YouTube, tell me a little bit about the colors of these beautiful flowers.
So there are 4 different colors of these flowers that represent different stages of dementia. And I will get the colors wrong with the association, so I'll just mention what they are. One is for a loved one who's passed, and that's the purple one, which is why I have the purple flower.
Oh, right.
The orange is, I don't know which facet, but orange, there's orange, yellow, blue, and purple. Representing someone who's passed, representing a caregiver, representing a supporter, and representing maybe a family member or a sufferer who's living with it as we speak. And eventually there will be a white flower that we will be representing as a survivor. And we were so
Can't wait
very
for that.
close.
That'll be
We're
great.
so very close to
truly,
finding
yes.
a cure, and the importance of this walk and the fundraising to get to this research lab in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, and there are others around the country, to make sure that we have a white flower on this scarf next year.
Oh my
Great,
gosh,
yeah.
Angela, and
Yeah,
that
can't
wait
would
for
be
that.
so
Yes.
incredible. I mean,
Yes.
I am like, let's do this. You know?
Yes.
If somebody's listening and they want to be a sponsor and they want to help out that way, they would still go to your website?
Yes, you can go to our website. We have, it's the Greater Pennsylvania chapter of Alzheimer's Association. If you go to alz.org, you can look up our walk, our chapter, Greater Pennsylvania, and then you can drill down to our walk, and there'll be information on there for sponsorships. You can create a team. You can join someone's team. You can donate if you're not able to walk. You can donate whatever is best for you. And I would also mention that there is an 800 number that if you are a family member, you're a sufferer, you're a caregiver, there's an 800 number that's available 24/7, 365 to help you with resources. If you need to find a facility, if you need to find a caregiver, if you are a family member and you don't know how to handle a certain situation, maybe your loved one doesn't know who you are anymore, and they're getting angry and they think you're a stranger and you're trying to help. If you just need to vent, they are there to help you. These resources are critical, and they're there for you anytime you need them.
Oh my gosh, Angela, thank you so much, because that is something that I didn't even think about. If you are in those crossroads and you don't know where to turn.
Exactly.
I think that's the hardest thing. Don't you think, Ed, like when somebody's looking for like, where should I go? What should I do? Who should I call? Because we have such a great, facilities here,
Yes.
but we just don't know where to go
Yes,
first.
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what stops everybody in their tracks. Is there's times when it's so hard, whether who you're talking to on the phone or all the channels you got to go through, and a lot of people just stop, like, I could see myself, if I had to. And I just want to touch a little bit on and reiterate some of the things. One, it is super important to get testing done early. And like Angela said, most people attribute it to old age, but it really isn't. It starts at a much younger age. It's the old age when you start, getting the effects in, the long term. If you can catch it early, Alzheimer's is amazing. As I'm doing research and, looking into it a little more, just the way that, again, the chapter in Pennsylvania, across the board, they'll talk about it's amazing what they're doing in our own area. I do also want to talk about caregivers, because I think that people, and I'm not saying everybody, but there's parts of it where people don't understand, like, to give up your life for someone else. No, it's great, and but it's a hard thing to do. And so caregivers, believe it or not, have the hardest part of this. Because as you get worse into dementia or Alzheimer's, you're not this is not affecting you as much as when I mean it is, physically, mentally, but not what is on the caregivers, and they have a life as well to live.
It's emotional too.
And I think it's just really hard on them, and I hope that gets better as well, because and Angela knows about this, that there's not a lot of that out there. And then if you go to a facility, we all know about facilities, they're not the greatest thing, and if you have more money, sometimes it's better, but not always. But again, it's such a great organization. I'm proud to just be a part of it.
Yes, I agree with you, Ed. When it comes to caregivers, I saw, like, my mom, I was only in middle school, but I could see her, like, just weighing on her.
Right.
Oh yeah,
just
for
watching
sure.
her,
Yeah.
just kind of like each day she was like, she wasn't her mother anymore,
Right.
And I think that has to be the hardest thing for caregivers, is to watch your loved one not be that same person,
Right.
know.
And it's not necessarily a progressive decline. There may be moments of lucidity where that person can have a conversation with you, and then 5 minutes later, they're looking at you like they don't know who you are,
Right.
or they don't remember what you just said, or they'll ask the question again. I mean, it can fluctuate literally from moment to moment.
Right.
It's the overall decline that you want to prevent, but it can be very emotional for family members and caregivers, and many times the family member is the caregiver.
Right.
So it's and they're
And
not
we're
a medical
learning, yeah,
professional,
We're
right?
learning as we go.
Right.
We're
Right.
not.
But you have that as a family member, caregiver, you have that there's decisions to be made. I think that's harder than anything, because you have to be the one that makes them. And you're always worried about which one you're going to make. And you're worried about, should I put someone in a facility? It's not easy. And I feel more compelled for the caregiver than anything.
Right.
So hopefully people look into this earlier in life.
Yes.
And prevent a lot of this, even prevent having to depend on a caregiver.
Right.
So this is great. And
This is great, Angela. I've learned so much. Is there anything on these sheets that we have not talked about that maybe we
Let's
should?
see.
I know
Brain health. I can just go over very quickly the
Yes.
brain health. Challenge your mind. Do puzzles. Do things that exercise your brain. People make fun of game shows, but it's exercising your brain. Word searches. Crossword puzzles, whatever. Stay in school. Exercise your mind like you would your body and your heart. Clearly, Ed works out, takes care of his body, and you need to do the same thing for your brain. Definitely your nutrition makes a big difference. Substitute the candy bar for berries. Berries are supposed to have excellent antioxidant properties to help with brain health and keep your blood flowing properly. Exercise, no smoking, sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Get sufficient sleep. Minimize your alcohol intake. It does no good.
Yeah.
So, there's just so many things that you can do that are good for your brain, but also your heart, your body, and all of that. I also wanted to mention that our Pittsburgh walk in October, last year, we improved our ranking nationally. There were over 600 walks in the country. And we advanced from number 26 down to number 21. So I just went to the summit in February, and there are many, many $1 million walks, and we are going to achieve that this year. My goal as executive event chair is to break the number 15 nationally.
Yes.
So with your help, we can do that for sure.
Right, and I will be cheering you
yes.
on
Yes.
all the way.
Yeah, you're signing up for one of our teams.
Sure.
Just know that.
You have to.
Definitely sign
For
up.
sure.
I know. I want to get
For
my
sure.
mom involved, get my family involved, because the more we talk about this, the more we bring awareness to
Sure.
this,
Right.
we are helping. There's
Right.
someone out there listening or watching
Right.
this, and they were like, wait,
Right.
I see signs, or I feel like
Right.
with my own self.
Right.
And I never even thought about like exercising your brain.
Right.
And
Exactly.
doing these, word puzzles.
Right.
Do you think that, I don't know if you would be able to answer this, but with our cell phones, do you think that, like, I feel like my brain doesn't turn off because I'm feeling like my phone is right next
Always
to my
connected.
bed at night.
Always
and I hear it
connected.
dinging.
Right.
And I'm like, oh.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like maybe, do you think that has not that it's going to diagnose you with it, but do you think that sometimes turning that phone off or turning
I think
electronics-
technology in general has made us addicted to always be aware of what's going on and watching and looking, and we can't turn it off.
Yes.
I know a lot of people need to listen to music or watch TV to fall asleep, but your mind really needs to wind down. You can read and just wind down, and same thing with your heart. Your heart needs to rest.
Right.
You think about how many beats per minute for your entire life, every day, every minute. Your brain needs to shut down also. That's when it repairs. So
true.
yeah, it's best to put the technology, the blue screens, put them aside in another room.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to start doing that. It's so true. I keep saying
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But I really need to do it
Yeah.
because, like you said, it doesn't matter how old you are. This could be something that you could be going through. You just really need to. You need to listen to your body.
Right,
Listen
exactly.
to yourself and think,
Exactly.
you know what, I'm off, or something's really, different. And you have to ask for the blood test.
Right.
Right.
Yes, you have to advocate for your own health.
Yes.
Because your healthcare provider is very well trained, but they are used to asking the same questions. They look at the test results and make assumptions and do a little bit of research, but you yourself know what isn't right. And you need to advocate and go to the next doctor and go to the next doctor and
Right.
keep pushing. I want that test. I want to see the results, because no one's going to advocate more than you and your own self
Yes.
for your health.
And I'm just hoping that, with healthcare that we do get it passed, because it is expensive to get a lot of these testings
Right,
done.
it is.
And I think, like Ed was saying before, some people are hesitant to even do it because
Right.
they're like, wait a second, how much is this going to cost
Right.
me out of pocket
Right.
to get this blood work or testing
Right.
or anything like that? So
Right,
I
exactly.
appreciate you, Angela. You
Oh.
have so much. I've learned so much. And Ed, I appreciate you being here and supporting this and being a big advocate for the Alzheimer's Awareness. This has just been so enlightening for me to sit here and realize, wait a second, just because my grandmother had it so long ago doesn't mean that it could not be affecting anybody in my family or
Right.
myself at
Right.
this, even at this point right now in
That's
our
right.
lives,
That's right, absolutely. And this is the era of prevention, not just treatment. So anything that anyone can do to help volunteer, to donate, to participate is making an impact on that research lab in Pittsburgh.
Yes,
So I invite you to join us.
Thank you, Angela. Ed, is there anything else you would like to say before we go?
I would. First of all, the 10 healthy habits, if you look at it, I would say, if not all of them, it all means get off your butt, turn the TV off,
It's so true.
because it all kind of works with one another, Go out and walk so you can sleep, get some exercise, whether you're walking, riding a bike. It'll help you sleep at night. I can go down the line of this, but a majority is telling you get up, get out of the house, breathe, get oxygen, and take care of yourself. And the other thing is, don't think you're crazy if you feel something's wrong. Let someone else tell you crazy. That's what I'm saying. This is joking, but what the point is and like Angela said to just reflect on that, is you're the one that's going to know this. Doctors don't know this. They might misdiagnose you for other things. So I think, again, it's important, and hopefully we can get to a point where it's feasible, or if not free.
Right.
Yes,
There's no shame.
absolutely.
There's no shame in it whatsoever.
Right.
No, and you like you said, you know your body, you know the signs, you know what's going on, and you go into a doctor's office, you only have maybe 20 minutes.
You're right.
They don't see
Right.
you every day.
Right.
So maybe that day you're having a good day.
Right.
You're
Right.
not having this.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I'm not going to bring it up because
Yeah.
bring it up.
Right.
Be your own advocate. This is all about you. This is about your brain health, heart health, everything.
Right.
Just keep yourself active and busy and. Oh my
Right.
gosh, I've learned so much.
I know one thing that's easy, and so when you go to the doctor and you let them know that maybe I'm feeling a little different, it's not my age, because a lot of times, again, when you get over 50, people are going to say, "Oh, you're just getting old," right? But what they do at the doctor's office, and it's simple and it don't cost any money, is they'll give you a sheet like this, and they'll have I think 30 questions on there, and you have to answer them, and answer them in a relatively a time period. And so that'll help them understand maybe more of your cognitive skills and if they're diminishing. So, that's easy to do, and they'll give it to you. Your PCP will give you that little sheet of paper, and it takes 5 minutes to answer it. And that all starts there, and that's free. I mean, your PCP, but it's not going to cost you anymore to just get to that point.
Thank you for adding that. It's so true. I was just reading a book, and I remember reading it, and I had to do something, and I turned around and I thought, what did I just read?
Yeah.
Right.
So then I had to go over it again just to get myself, and I thought, it's not, that's just me getting, I didn't think anything of it, like just the comprehension of remembering things.
Well, part of that can be that we're easily distracted.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
and you're very busy, we're all very busy. So it's easy to get distracted. You may be looking at someone when they're talking, but
Right.
you're thinking
Oh,
4
yeah,
steps
right.
ahead. That's not dementia.
Okay.
That's just being distracted.
Yes, I know, it's so true.
Yeah.
We are distracted in the world that we live in
Right.
today. There's so many distractions, but yes, I mean, if we could say one thing is just be your own advocate.
Right, absolutely.
It all starts with you, yes.
Yeah, it all starts with you. That should be our slogan. We should have it all starts
Well,
with
Angela's
you.
going to steal that, so.
I know. Hey, yeah, you'll use it. It's probably already out there.
Yep, somebody's got it already.
I know, really. Thank you so much, Angela,
Oh,
for
thank
all the
you.
valuable
Yes, for
information.
sure.
Thank you for what you do, providing this information. And thank you for being such a supporter of me, Spill With Me Jenny D, and also for sponsoring this month of Alzheimer's for June. I really appreciate you, Ed. So this was such informative. This was awareness. I mean, I hope that I'll have all the information below if you don't remember exactly what we said or where to go to be a part of this walk. But thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you for giving us the time
Thank
to
you,
talk
Jen.
about it. We appreciate it.
that for
Thank you
sure.
so
Yeah.
much. This
Thank
was
you.
another episode on Spill With Me Jenny D. Take care.
Come spill with me. Come spill with me.